In this last part of penetration testing, we'll talk about managing the test itself. And this is really from the perspective of you as a leader or a manager, managing your team, preparing them for the test, and managing all aspects of the test. Managing a penetration test event can be very problematic and typically more challenging than the test itself. There's a lot of things that go into a successful test, and most of those happen behind the scenes and prior to the test event. These things really are where the manager or leader has a lot of responsibility. In fact, managing this test event includes the planning, all of the aspects of planning for the test, all the logistics needed to get the team in place, the equipment in place, and travel and so forth, staffing the event with the right people that can do the job, scheduling the test event, coordinating that with the organization and your team, purchasing the equipment supplies that you need, and conducting the day-to-day operations of the event to make sure everything runs smoothly. Managing also means, from the customer perspective, that you ensure that all the customer's goals, objectives, and expectations are met, or at least managed, because you want them to be satisfied with the test event. You want them to get out of it what they're paying you to put into it. You also want to make sure that their reports and deliverables are submitted the way they want them and on time. So let's talk about some of the things you need to do to manage a test. And some of these we've already covered, but it's important to emphasize them. The test manager or test lead, should you send a person out on a test and it's not you, should be a senior person, and this senior person has to have extensive experience in penetration testing and security themselves. They need to have done this a few times, been around the block, so they know the routine. That person should also be fairly educated in business acumen and know how to manage things from a business perspective, managing labor hours, cost, and so forth. They also need to be able to manage the project from a work scheduling perspective and a scope perspective. And in general, they need to have good leadership abilities, a good type of relationship with the team members so they can lead the team. You want to make sure as a test manager that the customer's goals and expectations are understood from the get-go and documented. And this is not just at the basic initial meetings for the test. This is on a daily basis during the test, because sometimes what you think the test should be and how it should go is totally different than what the customer thinks. And frequently the two parties don't know that they have a different perspective on it. So it's your job as the manager to daily even communicate with the customer and draw out what their goals and expectations are and manage those expectations and goals. Meet them if possible and manage them and explain and communicate to them when it's not always possible. You also want to make sure, obviously, that all the proper preparation activities are accomplished, that you've got the team ready, they've been trained, you've got qualified people on it, you've got the right equipment, supplies, and so forth. So make sure all those prep activities are in there. Make sure that the team has the right equipment and supplies. I can't emphasize this enough. Nothing is more embarrassing than having a team show up with old laptops running an old version of Windows or Linux, and they don't have the right tools to test some of the more advanced systems an organization might have. Or they're using procedures or software that's 10 years old and doesn't do what it needs to do anymore. Make sure that you buy the right equipment and supplies for them in order to execute the test. So you're managing money and resources there as well, budget. If you need advanced software, put out the money to get it. You may have to arrange the budget such that you have to charge a little bit more for that to make up the cost. If the team requires licensed software, make sure that they have it. Freeware and open source software is great, but if you require an enterprise level license agreement or commercial license agreement to run something like, say, Nessus or Retina or Core Impact or Canvas or something like that, then you're going to need that because you want to be legal when you conduct your tests. Make sure they have the right supplies like CDs, notepads, things like that. Those are nitnoid things, but they're important. In essence, you're the central interface between the team and the customer. You run the interference, you resolve the issues. When the customer has an issue, they come to you, not the team members. And likewise, when the team has an issue or a problem that they need some assistance with, they come to you so you can interface with the customer and get it resolved. It might be something like system availability, for example, or they need a system administrator to do something or to come and give them some information. It might be just nitnoid problems. It might even be just going and getting lunch for them if they're going to stay during lunch and test. That's your job as the manager to do that. Your job is to ensure success of the team. Some of these things we've talked about a little bit already, but it helps to emphasize again things that you'll be doing as the test manager. The legal agreement and contract we can't emphasize enough. Make sure that's in place. Manage the work scope and the scheduling. Make sure that not only do you have the schedule down pat with the company, but that your individual team members are available during the test, before and after as well. Manage the budget. Make sure you've got money for your test events, and this could be over long term or short term during the test. It might be your job to manage the travel and logistics, or to make sure that someone takes care of that so the team is in place with the right equipment they need. Buy the right equipment they need. Staff your test event with the right people. Oversee all the preparation activities. Even if you're not doing them yourself, make sure they get done. Manage the daily operations of the test event. Again, you're the go-between between the customer and the team. Supervise the event. Be a leader. Make the hard decisions when you need to. Make sure you get final approval and editing over all the reports and deliverables. Make sure you're the last person that sees them before they go to the customer or before they go to your upper management. Brief the customer on a daily basis on the progress as you need to, and when it comes time, deliver the final report on time within the customer standards. And obviously, during all of this, you want to maintain a good working relationship with the customer before, during, and after the event so that you get follow-up testing and work with the customer and you do a good job.